What's going on, my soul family? Welcome back to another episode of the Awake with Jake show. On today's episode, I'm going to be dropping in and sharing with you masculine and feminine desires. And yes, there is a big difference between the masculine desires and the feminine desires. Now, there's something else I want to talk about as well in this episode, which will be the collective energy and how that's shifting from this wounded masculine grid into the ascension of the feminine. Now, before I get into all this, I want to share with you how much I appreciate you for being here. Truly appreciate and honor you for showing up to listen to my work and to support my work. Thank you, and I love you. When it comes to the collective energy currently at this point in our timeline, what we are seeing is a great awakening. And as many people start to awaken from this deep slumber, which has happened for so long, as the ego becomes more quiet and the soul starts to awaken within all of us, we ascend as a species. And as we awaken to our feminine energy within us, because we all have both masculine and feminine energies, we awaken to the intuitive parts of ourselves, to the compassion within us, to the love within us, to the sensitivity, to the feelings. All of the feminine essence is about bringing more love and gentleness and softness into our world. Because I don't know about you and whether you've seen it or not, there's not much of that right now. But we are awakening to that, to be more compassionate, to be more loving, to be more intuitive, to listen to our intuition, to feel deeper, to have deeper empathy. These are all feminine qualities. So because those yin qualities have been repressed for so long by the grips of this wounded masculine energy, the ego energy, we're shedding those veils. We're letting go of those layers. So we will find ourselves in this point in timeline, especially if you're going through the awakening journey right now, going through many dark nights of the ego is what I would call it. Because our ego is taking a back seat. Our ego is fighting for control. Our ego is fighting to be comfortable. Our ego is fighting to have power in this moment. But as you quiet the ego, quiet the mind, you allow your feminine to rise within you, this life force energy to rise within you. And you start to connect to the universal energies, the collective energies, the loving vibration. Remember, we came here to experience love, to return to love. And in order to do that, we have to work through our shadows. We have to work through the grips of our ego that keep us small, that keep us powerless, that keep us limited within our mind. Constantly worrying about the future, constantly worrying about the past, and all of these 3D things that the ego loves to grip onto. So as we ascend the ego and we awaken to our true divine feminine energy within us by being supported and held by our divine masculine energy, everything in our life starts to shift. But in order for that to happen, we have to work through our trauma. We have to work through our pain. And we do this by activating our feminine energy, the feeling energy, allowing yourself to truly grieve and cry out and release those toxic emotions that have been stored deeply within your body. Maybe the inner child wounds that you still carry, or the resentment that you carry towards your father or your mother, and you carry these mother and father wounds within you. Here's the truth about this, and my truth at least. If you have mother and father wounds, you will not have harmony between your inner masculine and your inner feminine. If you have mother and father wounds, you will not have harmony between your inner masculine and your inner feminine, because the mother and father are the representation of the masculine and the feminine energies within our lives. So as we balance out these energies within ourselves and we heal and forgive and let go of that inner critic, because our mother was so hard on us. She didn't love us the way we needed to be loved. Or maybe our father was really critical or abusive. I know that was my situation. Was my dad was very aggressive towards me. He was super aggressive, very violent. I was never good enough for my father. At least 1,000 times in my life, my dad told me what a no good piece of shit I am. And he wished I was dead. So when you're a young boy and you hear those things, you don't know what to do with yourself because you're seeking your father's approval. You're seeking your father's love and support. And when you don't get that, it hurts you deeply. It cuts you deeply. So I had to find my own way in life. I had to learn how to become a conscious man on my own. And within that healing, I found so much love and compassion for my father. And because I found love and compassion for my father, he actually went on his own journey and he started to change. So as I released my hatred towards my dad, my entire life started to change. And that was a lot of work. It was a lot of work, a lot of grieving and crying and letting go. And the same thing goes for the mother too. My mother wounds especially were more subtle. They weren't as obvious. But the little things that I did in relationships, I didn't realize were actually stemming from a mother wound. You know, for example, I think a lot of men struggle with seeking the validation from other women because they're still looking for their mother's validation. So they're not getting their mother's validation. So they go around with this horny bee syndrome and having sex with many women. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but they're looking for love from multiple partners and scattering their energy all around. And they're not finding that validation within themselves. And they're unwilling to commit to one divine relationship and cultivating that sweet nectar that comes from being committed in one relationship. And I'm not saying that's the only path, because if you want to have sex with multiple people, that's your thing. But if you're looking for true, deep, rich, beautiful, divine intimacy, I believe that cultivating that love with one person takes time. It takes work. It takes trust. Because when you get into a relationship with somebody, it's kind of like you're going back and forth in a boxing ring, kind of feeling each other out. You're wondering when that person's going to throw the first punch. But the more you let your guard down, you'll realize that you don't actually need to fight your partner. And it takes time to build trust in the container of that relationship. It takes commitment to being committed to both of you, committing to that relationship. And it's scary because we live in this non-committal world. Nobody wants to commit to anything anymore. Nobody wants to commit to the partner or a purpose, having purpose in life. Nobody wants to commit to a mission, having a deep mission. And we're very flighty as a human species. So as we let go of this flightiness and we anchor into something deeper than just our ego, we will awaken to our divine senses. As we move through the wounded masculine and the wounded feminine parts of ourselves, like we've all dealt with. We give up this stuff that we're holding on to, this toxic stuff that you carry around in your body that causes you to feel anxiety, that causes you to feel stressed out, that causes you even physical pain because of the emotional burdens that you're still carrying. And I'm not giving you medical advice in this moment, but I would invite you to look deeper at your physical pain, because a lot of times when we have physical pain in our body, it's tied to an unresolved trauma that was stored in there. So take a deeper look at your physical pain, and a lot of times it's mirroring back an emotional pain. As you awaken your feminine energy, and this is for all human beings, men and women, because it doesn't matter. It's not anything to do with your gender. As you awaken your feminine energy and you heal your feminine energy within you, you connect to the deeper, feeling, loving, compassionate, intuitive parts of yourself. But men especially have become numb to their feminine energy. They don't know how to feel. They don't know what it's like to feel love. Maybe once in a while they get a feeling of love, but in the container of a relationship, they lose that feeling of love because they're so focused on lust and lusting after their partner. And once that lust burns out, it will burn out. All lust burns out. Once that lust burns out, you either have love or you don't. So if you don't have love in the container of your relationship because you were just lusting after your partner, then that's going to be a long, exhausting relationship, because you'll be chasing one ejaculation to the next, one orgasm to the next. And you find yourself in a relationship being not fulfilled because you're not being loved the way that you truly desire to be loved. And that brings me into my next point, the way the masculine desires to be loved and the feminine desires to be loved. The way the masculine desires to be loved. Let's talk about this because I get this question a lot. How does the masculine desire to be loved? The masculine wants to feel supported by their feminine partner. The masculine wants to feel supported, meaning their mission is supported by their feminine partner. Now, what I see a lot of that causes conflict is most masculine people don't really have a true mission. They don't really have a true purpose. And there's nothing wrong with that, but if you don't, I invite you to find it. But one of the deepest core desires for the masculine is to be respected and to feel like their mission is being supported by their feminine partner. They want to feel the yin essence of their feminine partner, the openness that the partner brings into the relationship, the surrendered. The surrendered feminine is a gift from God. But she, and I say she loosely because this could be a man as well, the feminine will not surrender if she doesn't trust. Let me say this again. The feminine will not surrender if she does not trust the integrity and the consciousness of the masculine energy. The feminine will not surrender if she does not trust the integrity and the consciousness of the masculine. So if you want a surrendered woman, you have to be willing to do the work. And when I say the work, I'm talking about the inner work. Because a lot of us are working from the outside in. We're trying to fix ourselves from the outside in. But this is really an inside out job, right? You can rub all the lotion you want on your body, but if you're not drinking water, your skin's not going to be hydrated properly. Because it's working from the outside in. It's so much more effective to work from the inside out. So as you cultivate true harmony between your inner masculine and your inner feminine, you will have true harmony in your outer relationship. It all starts within yourself. So for the masculine, the way they desire to be loved is they want to feel like their mission is being supported, and they also want to feel like they are respected. They want to be appreciated for the gifts that they give to the relationship, because the masculine energy is the giving energy. So when they give something to somebody, they want to feel appreciated. Appreciated. Thank you for doing that for me. I receive that as the feminine person. They want to feel like their gifts of giving are being received and appreciated. Now, as a feminine wound, a lot of people with feminine wounds, they don't know how to receive. So when the masculine does something nice for the feminine's like, oh no, I can't accept that. I don't want that. Or no, thank you, I'm fine. And they kind of go into their smallness. Their feeling of not worthy is a big feminine wound. So when the masculine continuously tries to do something for the feminine and they don't receive it, it actually hurts the masculine. The masculine wants to be received. The masculine wants to be received. Imagine it like plugging in something to an outlet. If that outlet is blocked, it can't go in there. You can't receive the charge from the outlet. The masculine wants to give to the container of the relationship. They want to support the relationship. They want to lead the relationship with integrity and consciousness. But if the masculine is still wounded, they can't lead with integrity and consciousness. Their partner won't trust them. If you don't even know who you are, how can you expect your partner to know who you are? You can't. And if you do, you're going to get let down, right? Because if you're not really grounded in your purpose, in your mission, as a masculine person, the feminine is not going to trust you. And I've said this before, if the feminine doesn't trust your purpose, she won't trust your presence. She will not trust your presence if she doesn't trust your purpose. So if you're doing things for ego needs, and that's all you're operating in life to make money, to get some fame, to do these things just for the premise to satisfy your ego, because you're still seeking the ego validation, then the feminine is not going to trust that, because the feminine has real deep depth. And the reason why healing attracts so many feminine people is because feminine people are already right there at their feelings. They're feeling the emotions. They're feeling the intuition. They're feeling the openness of the psychic universe and all of that stuff, calling it into their vortex, magnetizing this energy to them. So that's why for the feminine people, they're already 1 foot in the water when they start healing. For masculine people, they have to put a foot into the water. You know what I mean? Because the masculine people tend to be more in their mind. So when the masculine balances out their mind and their heart, everything starts to shift for them. Now, the way the feminine desires to be loved is different than the masculine. The feminine desires to be loved in the container where they feel safe, where they feel seen, where they feel supported, but in a strong but gentle way. The feminine's deepest desire is to feel the continuous flow of love in the container of the relationship. Let me say this really clear. The feminine's deepest desire, I would say one of the feminine deepest desires, if not the deepest, is to feel the continuous flow of love in the relationship. Now, that doesn't mean that she's not going to have intense moments of fiery passion, because she does have this energy. She does have that fiery energy at times. And she may really want to get down to business, if you know what I mean. But she wants to feel the continuous flow of love. So an example in lovemaking and sexual intimacy, when a man just jumps quickly into bed with his woman and doesn't honor and cherish her, then she doesn't feel fully fulfilled by that sexual engagement. Now, if that continues to happen over a period of time, she starts to feel used. And when she starts feeling used, she starts to build resentment towards her masculine partner, because there's no depth in the sex. It's hollowness. It's all about the ego, just using each other's bodies to masturbate. And there's no depth there, so the feminine is yearning for more depth in the container of the relationship, trying to pull the masculine out of their mind to nourish their container. She wants to feel cherished, okay? Especially in sexual intimacy. And if she doesn't feel cherished, over time, that can start to build resentment. And it will lose the polarity. You will lose the polarity when the feminine doesn't feel cherished. When you see her as beautiful and divine, as radiant and loving, and you give her sweet, intentional, loving compliments, and you praise her, she starts to open. But she's not going to open if you're so focused on working and being successful and really becoming a somebody to stroke your ego. No. That doesn't work for a relationship. It doesn't. All of your somebodyness will kill the intimacy in a relationship. Really thinking you're a somebody in a relationship will kill the intimacy in a relationship. She doesn't really care how much money you make or how big your business grows or how great you are at your job. I mean, sure, those things are cool to her, but in the deepest yearning for the feminine, she wants to feel the vibration of love. She wants to feel that flow of love. And when the feminine becomes imbalanced, when she's not feeling love, she'll start to feel something else. That could be anger. That could be chaos. That could be an emotional dumping in the relationship. That could be a lot of things. And a lot of times, in order to fix that, and a way to fix that is by bringing deeper presence from the masculine into the container of the relationship. A lot of times, the feminine will start to act out emotionally because they're not being seen, because they're not being heard. So as the masculine drops down deeper into his heart, anchors deeper into his purpose, becomes more present, more intentional, and more grounded, she'll start to soften and open back up. Now, this takes work. A relationship is like building a garden, okay? Every single day, you have to tend to the flowers and the plants and the vegetables in your garden, whatever you're growing. Imagine the feminine is like a flower. Every day, you tend to that flower. Tend to that flower every single day. And watch how she starts to bloom. And as she blossoms, she fills your entire life with this healing, yin, nourishing energy. It is something that helps to balance out your own inner yin and yang energies. And now, in the reverse of that, when the masculine is truly feeling loved in the relationship and their mission is supported and their logic and their giving is respected and appreciated and received, they create support and safety and structure in the relationship so the feminine can truly flourish. That's why the yin and the yang energies are so powerful together in the dynamic of a conscious, sacred union. There's so much healing that can happen in a conscious relationship. So much healing. I hope that this episode brought you an immense amounts of value. If it did, please right now, so you don't forget, take a screenshot of this, share it to your Instagram story, and tag me at Jake Woodard. It would mean the world to me, and I would love to hear your feedback about this episode as well. If you haven't done so already, please leave a rating and review on my podcast on Apple Podcast. That would also mean the world to me as well. A lot of things mean the world to me. I just love you, and I appreciate you. And as always, stay open, stay loving, and stay connected to that beautiful source within you.